Awesome. Welcome, everybody. This is the She's the Owner podcast. I'm your host, Kara McCarran, and today we have a long sought after guest, Brian Bradley. And I know Brian through the Egoscue method through UPW and all of the Tony community. As you guys know, I love to have Tony people on here. So we're just going to kind of go into it. Maybe give a minute or two of sort of your background with Egoscue. I know I've done a lot of the exercises. They're incredible. Every time we do UPW and we do the Running Man, I want to die. But then there's an old lady beside me who's doing it faster, so I have to keep up the pace. You know how it goes.
That's why I bring 9-year-olds up on stage and go, you guys are up against 9-year-old kids. Let's go.
Yeah, like it's humiliating, but in the best way possible. So, how did you tell us a little bit about, what you're doing now? I know VP of Egoscue Method. So, talk a bit about that and then kind of just your journey into personal development, how you ended up on stages, Tony stage or other stages. I know you do a lot of public speaking. So, kind of give us the snapshot.
Great. Thank you so much for finally getting me on here. I mean, I've been trying for years and you finally made room for me. She's that busy. But I will tell you, I always like this kind of stuff. And during COVID, I just said yes to everything, first of all. Like, you know what? I'm just going to start putting myself out there on podcasts. And, I want to start a podcast called Always the Bridesmaid, Never the Bride, because I like being the guest versus hosting my own podcast. So I have no problem being the bridesmaid. Like, I'm in another wedding today. Here we go.
Yeah.
That's always a pain in the butt. But what I get out of this and where I came from, a long time ago, 31 years ago, I ran into Pete Egoscue. And those of you who don't know Egoscue, it's up here. That's how you spell it. You will be tested on the pronunciation and the spelling. But it's all based on this picture down below, which, of course, we all learned in school. We go in there and we're experts at the university level on how to treat symptoms.
Yep.
So if somebody says to me, my neck hurts, or I blew my knee out, or my hip is this, or my foot is this, I was an expert at going right at the symptom. Well, if you have shin splints, I'm going to look at your anterior compartment of your lower leg. Oh, if you have a rotator cuff injury, I'm going to look at your shoulder. I ran into Pete Egoscue 31 years ago, and he had such a simple way of thinking about things because no traditional medical training, came out of Vietnam injured and said, I got to fix myself because these morons don't do it. Now we changed that from, are they really morons? No, they're not. Traditional allopathic healers go into a line of work to heal people, but the system screws up their journey. So we'll get into that in a minute. I luckily ran into a young man, Pete Egoscue. He's now 76-ish, and came out of Vietnam and said, it's up to me to fix me. That morphed into, it's up to me to fix me to make my allopathic healer's job easier. So if I'm going to go see a chiro or an osteopath or anything for performance needs, or I'm in chronic pain or acute symptoms, I need to do my job. So it's like going to the dentist and saying, I'm not going to brush my teeth for 3 weeks before I go see my dentist. Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yep.
But we do that with our bodies before we go see anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody, for me, example, I blew out my ACL twice on my left knee and, blood clotted my calf and broke my fibula and tore my labrum in my hip and separated this shoulder and dislocated this shoulder and herniated disc here and fractured transverse process down here, all these things from racing downhill mountain bikes, which great sport, but stupid because trees don't move at 65 miles an hour.
No, they do not.
That's why I move over to pickleball and ping pong now. But I look at those things and go, look, I'm in my mid 50s and I'm able to do things that I dare you to try to compete with. Like, that's what I try to motivate people with is, come on, keep up with the fat white guy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And they're going, well, you're wait, how old? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be 55 in June. And they're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And I only say that because I live my life around Egoscue and some biohacking. Like, we were talking about the biocharger. We were talking about the cold plunge. We were talking about the infrared or the Finnish saunas. We were talking about the Normatex, all of these things that I do to my body to be able to say that plus 80% clean nutrition, 20% Fruit Loops. I'm looking at it going, I live a pretty good life.
Yep.
But I also understand that tomorrow it could stop.
Mm-hmm.
So not to be cliche here, but when somebody says live in the present because it is a present, I truly believe that. And I trained the day before for the day after. So I'm prepping myself last night for what I'm going to do today.
Yep.
5 hours of sitting, doing this. Then I'm going to go do some other stuff. Then physiologically, I'll do something later. But I luckily ran into a guy, Pete Egoscue, who had an outlook with zero blinders on 31 years ago, who said, because you have a shoulder injury, maybe the collapse of your left ankle might be causing that shoulder to shut down because it's trying to right the body by doing that.
Right.
Now think about that. You blow out your ankle playing basketball. You end up with TMJ on the other side 6 months later, and you're going to blame the jaw when it might be a spinal change that caused your head to be sitting in a compensatory way. So would you look at the jaw? Yeah, maybe just to check it out, see if there's anything really wrong there. But you better be addressing that ankle sprain, which is usually never taken care of. So ideally, we were talking about this, and since it's just us girls, we can talk about this. We were talking about feminine versus masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Which one looks more feminine?
Well, I would say the one on the right,
What color?
the gray.
You would say the gray looks more.
She looks like no, I guess she would look more masculine to me. And the shoulders back, there's way more confidence, but it's.
So somebody's in the gym and yeah, because the other person's CrossFit.
Yeah.
Let's get in there and do this, and let's do this. And there's not much feminine going on in CrossFit. And listen, I love CrossFit. I'll try to help people in CrossFit all the time.
Yeah.
Having said that, I also would love you to do CrossFit and still be feminine.
Right.
So, I grew up with 3 sisters, still have them as sisters. So I was raised by wolves, and I understand them. They're all running around the house. Things start to cycle together.
Yep.
Things start to cycle together.
Yep.
Which is why my dad and brother and I played so much golf. We would just find 4-hour, let's get out of here, one of those things.
Brilliant. It's what you need to do.
But at the same time, there was a very interesting message there, which was, let us be women. Respect us being women. Our ship might be off right now, but that's what you have to deal with. And it really helps you down the road. So I joke around and say it's just us girls, but honestly, I was raised by girls.
Yeah.
And so I understand my sisters pretty well, to the point where my son, his girlfriends and stuff would come around when they were in high school and college, and they'd ask me some questions, and I'd give them a different way to listen and a different way to ask questions. Egoscue, the exercises, putting the body back to this, I truly believe is the foundation for this young lady in the gray to show up in chronic pain, and the young lady in black to show up pain-free. But the one in chronic pain could also show up in a relationship and get her feelings hurt very easily because her body's not doing anything to support her emotional, mental reaction to the BS that's around her.
Yeah.
She's going to give control to her partner, some guy or anybody, rather than saying, wait a minute, I don't want to give control. I want to be part of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The mental side of chronic pain is, at Egoscue, switched over to, you're not broken, you're bent. And we're going to try to bend you back. We're going to support you. And one of the ways doing this is changing the state of the person who's in chronic pain.
Right.
So when they come to us and they say, oh, why is my body doing this? My body's not working for me, blah, 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 blah. They walk through all that negative narrative, and I walk them back and say, congratulations. And I high five them.
Right.
Well, why? I have scoliosis. Yeah. And without it, you and I wouldn't be talking about a compelling future right now.
Yep.
So how is this not an opportunity?
Right.
So when somebody says, I got in a fight with my husband the other day and we were talking about this, and I said, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a physical narrative that you could employ during your next fight. Here it comes. You can feel it brewing and you can't let it go. Come on, you're a female. You know what that's like. You can't let it go. It's in your craw. You can't shut up. You're going to say something. You know it's going to hurt his or her feelings. Walk away and I'll run you guys through some exercises here. I dare you to feel the same way
Right.
after your upper back is in a better position and it's working congruently for you.
Yep.
You will come back in a much different state.
100%. And I think, like, just I want to jump in there because you're saying there's so many things firing while you're saying this, but like when I talk to women about physical or just sovereignty in general, right, where they own their emotions and they can, because that is the thing. Women, I mean, Tony talks about it, the tornado, and a sovereign man can stand there and hold the container for a minute, let the woman kind of go, you're not moving me. I'm an oak tree. I'm going to stand here in my state while you have your thing. But when a woman is connected to her masculine, like when she is doing a CrossFit, or because I'm 46 and I'm at that stage right now where that type of hit workout's not good for my hormones. My adrenals will go berserk, cortisol goes, all the things. And so if you're backwards in your body, or you're bent, as you said, not broken, it's hard for a woman to feel in flow. It's hard for us to be soft with you. It's easy to come at you like, yeah, what up? Because you're in pain. And when you're in pain, you're trying to protect, like consciously or subconsciously, that's what will end up happening. So I love, of course, you would be able to, mush the two together so perfectly, but it's true. And I actually hadn't thought of it until just now, where if you're in physical pain, it's super hard to let go and surrender and be in the feminine and be in a healthy masculine even. But so when you think about guys right now and the stuff that you teach them, talk a bit about like, do you notice that men aren't in their own bodies as much as they have been in the past? Do you notice, because of, cell phones and all the other distractions there are, that they're not as connected to their own bodies at this time and place?
I just did an event 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and you'll see on my Instagram, and I'll show people on there so that they can at least see the pictures. And we had a bunch of guys up there, and they're younger. It's fun to watch them at 55 almost, and kind of watch these 20 and 30-year-olds who have massive Instagram and stuff followings and TikToks and all that stuff. And I give them a hard time. I'm like, you guys are up there without your shirts on again, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And I said, I'm going to hurt you. I said, be ready for tomorrow because I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, bring it on, bring it on. And I hurt them. And it's not that I made them do the high intensity workout. I made them do a functional workout. Right. Just something simple like get up on a chin-up bar and they grip it like this. When have you ever gripped anything like this in your life? But that's big except for jiu-jitsu. I get that. You don't want your thumb to get out there and it gets pulled off. So you wrap it. And I said, guys, wrap your thumb. And when that happened, it's like wait, what? This doesn't feel the same. And I said, I understand. So we're going to work at it this way. Don't quote me on this, but men are pussies.
I would not disagree with that. And women are a bunch of ball breakers now.
Yes. Yes. And there's nothing more unattractive to me than, honestly, a male or female, because I appreciate both, looks-wise, function-wise, beauty-wise, size-wise, I don't care. Like, I love all the commercials that are out now. Like, there was a commercial the other day for a fitness thing, and the women were huge.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yep.
Because I'm like, finally, someone is speaking to an audience that's for real.
Yep.
Rather than this magazine, because I always say this, I'm sick of you women being lied to, that you should eat less and work out more and you'll look like this girl who has been personal training with a trainer 6 hours a day for 8 weeks, 8 months to look like this photo shoot.
Yep.
That's LA. So having said that, there's nothing more unattractive than somebody who's coming at you. Now, remember, I like to feel like I'm resonating at a different level where I don't take things personally. So when somebody comes at me and blah, and I listen to it. Hey, Brian, you really upset me when you did this. And I high five him and I go, thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect. Without me pissing you off, we wouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
Now, after that, it's the little discombobulation. Wait, what? I just insulted you, Brian. I told you were a dick. Thank you. I'm not going to give you control of my emotion. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, Having said that, there's probably a threshold. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you come at me physically, I'm going to put holes in you,
You're gonna
stuff like
respond.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you're coming at it, looking at it going, my emotions are not yours to control.
Mm.
Now, that's as a human, we're not conditioned like that. But having been in the Tony world and everything else for so long, I get to hear it for 30 some years doing this and just watching people progress. It's honestly, this is what it's like watching you kids grow up in the Robbins world. First visit, hey, I'm at UPW, then platinum partner, platline. Like I literally watch these guys who are older or
Yeah.
younger, and I get to watch them go through this progression. It's fun to watch their growth.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I learn off of their growth.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody comes to me with something that they want to fight about, sorry, my dog's destroying something, that they want to fight about, or I literally look at an opportunity like that and just say, well, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Well, you can do this, this, this. Okay. How's that going to affect you long term?
Right.
Because my message is the same. If your body's deviating from this perfectly designed nature, then you can biohack the shit out of it all you want. You're not going to get anything out of it. You'll get 50%. But I don't want a 50% ROI on the work that I put in, nor do you. So if we can get you just to be able to feel a change and then have that resonate with, wow, my physical is here to support me at 2 millimeter shift, as Tony would say, that will now be supportive of me giving birth, getting off the toilet, getting out of a car, waking up in the morning, and not being miserable.
Right.
Instead of waking up in the morning going, I'm ready to go.
Right.
Versus, oh my God, I'm tired. It's another day.
Yeah.
That's your body hormonally not working for you, and you didn't get your deep, deep sleep during the night. Why is that? Possibly because your upper back never really changed. Like that young lady that I showed you, her upper back got out of her way. She looked so much more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
But in her eyes, it was, why am I so much thinner right now?
Right.
I didn't do anything to lose weight.
Right.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You opened up your lymph system.
Mm-hmm.
Your body is now moving fluid freely south to north,
Yep.
back in through the heart and the bloodstream. So when we can get that lymph flow to change off of the alignment of your body being progressively moved, I already know psychologically you're not the same person.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't bring people back to that.
Right.
You lost 30 pounds, you look amazing. Now I say that, hey, Kara, you lost 30 pounds. Are you where you need to be? And I'm not talking physically.
Right. Am I feeling the way am I connected to the body?
Is my body serving me? When I look in the mirror, do I love what I see? No matter how big or small I am. Because you can have lost weight like this young lady did and still look in the mirror and say, I disapprove.
Yeah.
And then my son marries you.
Right. Then that's
And 3 years,
that's an uncomfortable Thanksgiving dinner.
well, it is because here's me going like this, eat as much food as you want,
Right.
but let your body work through that food versus going, I shouldn't eat that because I'm going to get fat.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with people when they say that. I said, I agree, but I spell fat differently.
Pretty hot.
I spell it
tempting.
PHAT.
Yeah.
Pretty hot and tempting, yeah. Because it's part of the lymphatic word, so a person can say, wait. Egoscue will give you the bonus plan as it relates to moving your internal environment, but it cannot happen unless you do a millimeter, 2 millimeter shift of work to say, I'll just do the minimum just to see if Brian's right about this. I already know I'm right, but it doesn't do you any good to know that I'm right. If I know that I'm right, it doesn't do you any good. You got to experience it.
So let's talk. Let's kind of bring it back to the healthy men, because I think that's, I think not everybody, obviously, in the personal development, there's a lot of guys that talk shit and they're, a bunch of, clinking heads together. There's no real maturity. Maybe they're big or they're fit or whatever, but they bring this sort of dick hole energy. Like there's no other way to put it. They come at, they sort of present themselves in this way. So when you're talking, because I imagine a lot of you, I mean, I don't know, what's the balance of people that you see coming through, either in events or through, clinics, but do you see a connection between like a man really owning himself and being a better man when he has done the work in this way? Not just personal development, but just physically when he's done the work. Do you see them come in one way, kind of meek, and come out more confident and a better human after the work they've done through Egoscue? Or like, what are some of the biggest changes you see through, not just physically? I really want to talk about energetically. Like, do they have the confidence? Are they more, are they kinder to people? Do they have more patience? Like all the things that we think about when we think about a healthy masculine energy type of dude.
Um, I have a lot of friends, and like my loyal friends have been my friends for literally decades. I have a high school group, I have a college group, I have an after college California group. We all talk, and they're all friends with each other too. But I let them spin their wheels in the gym and do these different workouts on purpose.
Mm.
So I'm going to show you something from Instagram just to give you an idea of how I view a workout to get bigger, faster, stronger, and more functional this way. So tell me how this makes you more like bigger, faster, stronger.
Well,
just by walking.
I mean, you'd need to, so you're supporting your entire body. You have nothing but balance to work with there. That looks hard as shit.
But it's so functional to set you up for a movement like this.
Yeah.
So simple.
And here's what's crazy. You have, and don't take this the wrong way, but there's this sort of caveman quality about the way that you're moving. And that would put a woman, any woman, friend, wife, whatever, at ease. And that's the thing that I think so many men miss when it comes to exercise. Like, as soon as I saw that, and I think that was on your Instagram, I think I'd seen that, but there's just this that type of training brings for the room. And it's not just about working out and getting fitter, because that's not what the world needs. We don't need more guys in the gym. We need more guys growing in this way. And
correct.
That, to me, the body is it's the first thing for a man, really, to build testosterone, all the things. But it's this calming thing that happens when a man really trains correctly and not just, I mean, you want to lift heavy things, all of the rest of it, but it's that energy right there in that 2 seconds that you just showed. I can tell you from the feminine side of things, it makes you go, like, take a deep breath. And I really sincerely believe that's the thing that's going to change how fucked up things are right now in our world, because they're super fucked up.
It's true. And let's take it back to like there was a shooting at Charlottesville at UVA. Young football players shot 3 other football players. There's a shooting at a gay bar in Colorado, 25 injured, 5 killed. And they find that the male shooter tried to build a bomb a year before or something like that. And you look at this kind of stuff, you don't really ever hear of that young 18-year-old female just shot up a church.
Right.
Society is creating a male, and social media is creating a male where if there's bullying or anything else, it's accentuated by 1,000.
Right.
If we could just say, I refuse to give you control of my emotion.
Yep.
And did I do anything that I'm responsible for your reaction to me? Be willing to look at yourself and say, well, maybe I said this. That's interesting. So I did a podcast a while ago on breast implant removal. What the? Seriously? What? I'm sorry. Why'd you call me? But after I started talking to her, I'm like, this might be the best podcast you're ever going to have.
Right.
Because she said, well, what qualifies you as an expert on breast implant removal? And I'm like, I'm a heterosexual male. I'm an expert on breasts.
Yeah. I happen to know a lot of the things.
Exactly. Just to break the ice, get people chuckling a little bit. Yes, some feelings may have been hurt, but you need to get over it because it's going to be worth it if you keep listening. Because we ask one question. So the host, you're going to get your breast implants. And she goes, I'm a week and a half away. said, that's amazing. She goes, I cannot wait to get them out of me. I'm going to be a new person.
Mm.
I said, you are. She goes, oh no, what? I said, do you have the tissues? Because you're going to need them. She goes, what? And I said, have you taken steps to look at why you got them in the first place?
Yep.
When you answer that, you're set.
Yep.
Because now you're dealing with, interesting, do I love myself?
Mm-hmm.
David Goggins says it perfectly. You better love what you see in the mirror right away when you get up in the morning, because that's who you are.
Yep.
Even if you have to fake it, stand naked in front of a mirror, shut all your blinds because your neighbors will get a good look, but you stand up naked in front of a mirror and say to yourself, I approve. And when you hear, no, you don't, I approve, you're a liar. I approve, you're fat. I approve, you're not as young as you were. I welcome all that.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm some strong male. Look, I'm literally a chick. Like my sisters will tell you, there's nobody in my family with more hair products than I have. And I have less hair than everybody. But I do sit down to pee. But I look at this kind of stuff and say, that's what allows me to connect.
You're crazy.
It's so true. It's true. But you start looking at it and going, if you can really actively listen to a male, mm-hmm. you will find out how quickly fragile they are, or B, how dangerous they are. Mm-hmm. Like if a man says, you know, blah, 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 I would just kill this and blah, blah, I would do that. And no, it's usually the very quiet ones you have to be. Those are the ones who are more dangerous. Absolutely. You don't ever hear a Navy SEAL or somebody else talking about, let me tell you what we did. No, they're usually the ones that talk about it. And I can say this because I've been around Pete Egoscue, Marine Corps, mm-hmm. Vietnam vet. He'll say, when they're bragging about it, they probably didn't do it.
Right.
And you hear that from a lot of military guys, and it's so true. It's the ones who don't want to relive that stuff, but they're the ones who are, you see a really good jiu-jitsu guy with some cauliflower ear. I always walk up to him and go, hey, he's like, what? And I go, you know, you're the most dangerous man in here. Yeah. And he goes, what do you mean? Why is that? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, no. And then you hear, no, I don't like to fight. And that's the guy that I'm going,
if some shit goes down,
I want him on my team. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I want him on my team. Not the guy that's over there with a knife going, no, I'll kill you. You know, right. They're the ones talking a big game. So yeah. You girls, and I tell my sisters these, I'm like, and my son's friends, I'm like, find a guy who's dangerous when needed, not talking dangerous.
Yeah.
You want to protect her, and you want to allow the guy to be a man. It's like Tony saying, I took her to that movie. I get credit for that.
Right.
Let us have credit for the little things.
Yeah. It's massive. Like, and that's what when I talk to women, I'm always saying, like, can we change the tire on a car? Yeah. Can I change the light bulb? And yeah. But if I just sit back and let the man do it, and I mean, it's a tiny little thing, but it stacks. And then all of a sudden, because I always say, like, you know, there's still a massive narrative around the world. I have a Instagram reel that I'm going to release probably today. I'm nervous to release it, honestly, because it's a little girl. She's saying, I'm a princess. I don't need it. And she's like 4 years old saying she doesn't need a man. And so I cut in and I do a little, clip to it saying, this is the problem. If you continuously tell men we don't need them, you're going to feel like we don't need you. And then what the fuck's going to happen, right? Like at the end of the day, we absolutely do. So vice versa. We make people. You help us make people. I mean, that stuff is important. And it's this narrative where, and I mean, I could talk about it for days, but this narrative is still, it's so dangerous. Like the women are being taught, we don't need any help. If I can change a light bulb, but if he's going to change it, I'm telling him, thanks, you did a really good job. I appreciate you. It's a small thing, but
there's a very important front end of that. Don't tell me to do it.
Yeah. Honey, would you mind changing that light for me? Is different than, can you go change the friggin' light for me?
Yeah, I asked you 3 times and all of a sudden the little boy shows up and says, okay, I don't want to say F off because that would hurt everybody's feelings.
But I really want to say it. Yeah.
But my mom passed away. I didn't marry my mom. Right. Don't become my mom.
Yeah.
You know, you start hearing those things from people and, we've all lived a version of that. And I just say, okay, wait a minute. There's a different way, and this is the fun part. There's a different way you could bring that up with me where I would be literally your biggest fan. But right now, I'm doing my damnedest. You could
Yeah.
dramatize all that, but that's where guys are. I joke around and go, guys are just big, stupid animals.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean it endearingly. Like we are, just make it easy for us to
I know.
understand things
Yeah.
and let us go. I took her to that movie and
Yeah.
she loved it.
And
I get credit.
exactly. And I think it's so funny. I say to my girlfriends, they're like, well, he was doing this and he did it wrong. And so I said, if you ask a man to unload the dishwasher, and let's say, Brian, you unload the dishwasher and you put the bowls in the wrong section, I'm not going to say in real time, hey, I will say maybe in bed later, hey, babe, do you remember when I know it's stupid, but like my OCD is killing me. Would you mind putting the bowls to the left? Like you're going to receive that radically differently than in the moment you're sitting here trying to do a good thing and I'm bitching and pissing and moaning about it. And it's such a tiny thing, but the woman's ego gets in there, right? Like the masculine hunter, she's in there, I gotta get you. Yeah. And it's like my favorite thing to tell, when my timer's going off for 4 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it. But my favorite thing to tell women is to slow down. Everything, your speech, the way you move, how fast you go, everything. Slow it down, and that's how you get out of the masculine and into the feminine. And
well, I do a lot of public speaking, and I'm sorry to interrupt because I know you are running out of time. I just got to put this out there. A lot of public speaking, and I push the envelope, but there is a saying: if what's going to come out of your mouth has any chance of sending the audience sideways, don't do it. Like Dave Chappelle and all these guys have good ways. Like he started a thing the other day where he read a thing about anti-Semitism, and then he goes on to talk about Kanye and the Jewish stuff that's going on. Again, if I'm Jewish, I might be upset about that, and I may quit listening. The minute you read the anti-Semitic beginning, I'm going, here we go. We're going to get ripped on again. But he's a comedian.
Right.
It's not my place to walk into a big event, 1 million people to 10 people. To start off with stupid stuff like that.
Right.
But I can tell you right now, when I say stuff like, look, it's just us girls, that's to get them to go, wait, what? To interrupt that. And when you say slow down, just understand that you're speaking to a man. And if you could say to yourself, what I'm going to say is probably going to hurt his feelings, and that's not my goal, you will slow down and rethink what's coming out of your mouth.
100%.
Unless you're just looking for a fight.
Right.
And guys are good at fighting.
Yeah. And but as soon as a woman can, and I've said it on my podcast before, when we can shut the fuck up for a minute and pause and just, is this really necessary? I say that's part of this was with my children. I was talking to my kids fast, like they were in my business. I was like all the time, and they're looking at me like, what is she doing? And I was like, okay, this is not the kind of mother that I want to show up as. So I'm going to slow it down. So now if, my youngest is 13, the rest are grown. But if she's doing something that 10 years ago I would have snapped at, now I slow down and I go, is it worth that? No. Is this going to matter in 5 minutes? No.
And what is she mirroring when she gets older? The stuff you're teaching her when she gets older is going to either be the fighter or a very strong woman who's so confident in herself that she can slow down, and she will attract the right person versus attracting a guy who's going to be dangerous for her. They get divorced. She marries the same guy, another color, another whatever, but it's the same guy.
Yep.
Okay. So I have an idea for you. We have 1 minute left on this because your timer is going to go off. My opinion is that we come back on and make this a 2-part series.
Hell yeah.
And the second one will be much shorter, and we'll go through some exercises.
Okay. That sounds fabulous. I appreciate everything. Thank you. I will let you know when this sucker goes live, and then we will schedule. Everyone heard it. There's a part 2 coming, so he can't back out of it. Even if it's in a
maybe
year.
Maybe we can even do a live Q&A on there where people can come in and do that kind of stuff.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Love you tons. Thank you so much. It was nice to see you a couple weeks ago, and I will chat with you soon. Mwah.
Okay. Behave yourself.
Bye.